Hey family, this is Charlie from Cosmic Labyrinth, and we're going to be starting our Herbology series. So Herbology 2, we're going to start with herbs that help with dealing with phlegm. And phlegm in Chinese medicine is a pathogenic factor. It's an accumulation of thick fluid, usually in the respiratory system, in the digestive tract, as well as the muscles, the integument, and other body tissues. Phlegm is divided into concrete phlegm and formless phlegm. So concrete phlegm is more of the phlegm that we can recognize, a lot more of that sputum that comes out. But it's not just that, there's also a lot of formless phlegm which we find in the body that doesn't necessarily form into an actual liquid. Let's see, so it's also important to understand that these pathogenic factors come from such thing as 6 exogenous factors, the 7 emotional factors, as well as improper diet. So most commonly in improper diet, that mucus forming that we hear about when people eat certain sweets or milk or certain products, and it creates this mucus. It's kind of one of the ways that phlegm is formed, but it's not the only way. There are different ways that these water retention of liquid happens. Like edema is another form of this water retention. So we're specifically talking about the different phlegms in this chapter, and we're going to talk about the different herbs that can help transform this phlegm and deal with some of the coughing and wheezing. It's important to also know that the water fluid metabolism and the accumulation of fluid happens in the lungs, spleen, kidney, and senjiao. So the lung is in charge of qi disbursement as well as the water metabolism, and spleen is where phlegm is created. So phlegm is created, the lung then disperses this through our body to kind of moisten our body. The kidney is also in charge of managing, controlling the water metabolism, because kidney goes then to the bladder and empties out as urine. And then the senjiao is known kind of like the senjiao and the pericardium in our body kind of does a group of things. So the senjiao is very much connected to like our burners, what they call the upper burner, middle burner, and lower burner, and it's kind of like this water vapor action going on, where the top is a cleaner liquids that we need, the middle is kind of like the liquids are getting transformed from drinking water and foods, and then the lower part is like the excretion mode. So it's kind of like a percolator where you steam water, and the water vapors is where we get from the top. The middle is where we get the liquid, and the bottom is where you get that gunk of whatever you're removing the water from. Whatever solid comes out of when you percolate, you know, like coffee, those coffee grinds is kind of like that excretion that comes out of our body. I didn't want to give anybody bad visuals for that. Okay, so let's talk about the different symptoms of the organs where phlegm accumulates. So when the phlegm accumulates in the lungs, we find this coughing, wheezing, stifling sensation in the chest or pain in the ribs. So you can kind of imagine this phlegm, water retention. So the lungs is supposed to be actually considered a metal element. So it's supposed to be clean all the time, right? So that it can process the air energy. But if it gets water or if it gets too hot, it doesn't have the right moisture to dryness, then you can have kind of like a coughing episode, because your lung is what they call dealing with rebellious qi. Okay, so on the treatment for these herbs, what they do is it's about opening up the lungs and transforming that phlegm. So instead of maybe it's dirty phlegm or the hot phlegm, it gets transformed into something that's much more useful for the lungs. When phlegm accumulates in the stomach, then you get that nausea, vomiting, the loss of appetite, as well as epigastric distension. So this is where sometimes you're accompanied by coughing, but a lot of times it's because the stomach has had this phlegm accumulating, and then it's because the stomach is very close to the lungs, and so it kind of rebels back in the lungs, makes you kind of go start to cough because of this accumulation in the stomach. So the way you treat it is you harmonize the stomach and you transform the phlegm. And then when the phlegm is stagnating in the channels, that's why you get a lot of like the lymph connection where the channels are getting extra liquids. So a disease like a scrofula or goiter is where you're getting this phlegm, and they call it phlegm fire, right? This extra phlegm heat that is getting accumulated in the lymphatic system, and so that's why you get these like nodes up here. So one of the ways of treating that is really softening this hardness that you get here, because this phlegm fire is kind of like this connection of excess, right? You're burning up, so you have all this excess energy. So when you have this excess energy that's filling up the lymph nodes, and you want in the lymph node to be cool liquids, right? The liquid that comes out is kind of like our sweat glands. So you want it to be a cooling liquid that is kind of like a net around our body, right? Our lymph node is everywhere around our body, especially in our armpits, because it's a lot of that heat. So when you have this heat building up, it's kind of like the liquid, just like how we talk about this percolator, the liquid loses its water function and it becomes more of a hard solid. And that's why you get these hard solid that amass in your lymph node. And that's why you get this goiter. And then the next one is turbid phlegm obstructing the orifice of the heart. So this is where the turbid phlegm is supposed to go down, right, in our excretion mode, digestion. Well, the good stuff, what they say, the good energy that is converted, right? So when we eat food, you know, we have the enzymes, we have certain enzymes and gastric juices that breaks down first the carbohydrate in our mouth, and then finally we break down a lot of the fats and meats and dairy and whatever in our stomach. So from there, a lot of that turbid phlegm is supposed to keep going down to the colon to excrete, but sometimes it comes up, kind of like heartburn, I guess. And so this is the symptoms that people see are like wind strokes, coma, locked jaw, contracted limbs, symptoms associated with problems such as cerebrovascular accidents and certain seizure disorders. So you kind of have this, they call it wind energy, where it kind of moves, where like they call it, you know, in irritation, you can have a moving irritation where it itches here, then suddenly itches here, and it's kind of like the wind moves that problem, that symptom somewhere else in your body. And that's why they say that pathogen has a wind nature to it. So the treatment is to disperse that wind, right? So if there's excess wind, then you have to disperse it, and then you have to expel the phlegm. So usually this turbid phlegm, you have to descend this turbid phlegm into the digestive system. Okay, and so a lot of these herbs that we will talk about in this series will be entering the lung and spleen channels. So the lung is where the waterways and the phlegm, it probably is accumulating. So it sounds like it's at the top, right? So all the phlegm is accumulating to the top, so you want it to come down, and the spleen generates the phlegm. So you don't want that phlegm, once generated, to go up to your lungs, but you want it to go down, right? The turbid phlegm to go down and the good phlegm to go to the lungs, because the lung is then going to disperse that, right? So it's like the distribution center, you know, like Amazon is going to be distributing, so lungs could be the Amazon system, right? But you want to make sure that you don't get soggy packages. So, you know, the spleen is sending you the packages, but maybe the spleen is in charge of making sure the package is well packaged. You don't want like fragile objects in a package with no cushion, because then they'll break and then you'll have a soggy package. So those are the things that the spleen is in charge of, is really to send and distribute the right liquids to the body, and then the lung disperses it to the rest of the body. So let's go ahead and start with the herbs in this chapter, and it's broken down into, right now we're going to study the cooling herbs that resolve the heat phlegm. So these herbs are colder in property, so they really help when you have what they call the heat phlegm, or they call it treating a hot cough, right? So I don't want to cough in the mic, but imagine if you have a cough and it's really dry and hot, you know, and then you have to drink cold water to kind of cool that off. Versus like a cold cough is like during the winter when you're like you're coughing and you get this like phlegm build up, and then you like will spit and you'll see this like gooey stuff come out. So this one is all about heat-phlegm and dry-phlegm, and that's kind of where you're getting a really hot irritation in your throat. So these are usually often combined with clearing herbs, clearing heat herbs. So this is really just talking about each of the herbs, and then eventually later on we'll learn actually what they call remedies, or prescription, where you combine multiple herbs to do multiple functions. So that's why these herbs specifically are really good for this hot cough, to really kind of soothe us from this hot cough and help the phlegm dissipate. And so what they say is contraindication in Chinese medicine is kind of like you do not prescribe herbs or acupuncture when these are happening or symptoms are occurring in the client or patient. So they say cold phlegm syndrome because the herbs are already cold in nature, and so they're trying to cool the hot cough. Versus, so that's what they're saying, if you already have a cold phlegm, you don't want to use these herbs because you're going to create even more cold phlegm. Okay? And then these are good for also expelling and dispersing phlegm. So the herbs will increase the phlegm and cough out, and patients will feel better, right? So sometimes a hot cough needs a liquid to then help you remove whatever problem you have. So it's not about increasing the phlegm, but it's about adding more liquids, more the right liquids to the phlegm that's probably drying out and making it irritating, so that that liquid will help pull out. So it's kind of like where you know, it's really dirty outside and you see people don't sweep the street, right? You don't see someone sweeping and then mopping, right? You see straight using water, spraying the water, and you can clear your whole garage ramp, right? And that's much more efficient in clearing out something that's gonna run into being dirty all the time, right? So that's kind of where this water energy or this cold liquid can help when the heat has really dried the gunk, and the gunk is dusty, right? So water is really good at picking up dust particles. Okay? So the first one is called Qianhu, and it's a Pucerdanum root. And it's a root that we use, and it's dried and cut and used unprepared. And the flavor is pungent, bitter, and slightly cold. So we're talking about the slightly cold, and that pungent is probably helping expel some of that phlegm. And the channel enters the lung and spleen. So some of the indications when you would use Qianhu is someone who's coughing with dyspnea due to undescended lung qi, or phlegm stagnation. So it's kind of like the phlegm is getting stuck in the lung, and you feel like you need to cough because it's stuck in your lungs. You know, like you get the itchy feeling, you're like, cough it out, but like you feel it's still itching, and there's nothing you can do. You know, drink water, but the water is going to the stomach, so it's not able to cool your lungs so that you can create any kind of phlegm or mucus to help you pull that out. And then cough due to wind heat. Okay, so taking Qianhu, the function would be to descend this adverting qi and expel phlegm, and to dispel this wind heat. So it's cooling, so that it will be able to remove the heat. And really, there's no caution and contraindication for that. Modern research says that for respiratory effects or administration of this decoction is good for anesthetized dogs, increase the production speed. Not very important. Let's move on. So this one's really good to treat cough. It is very similar to Sangye, and Qianhu is a very gentle herb, and the herb is primary to treat heat syndrome. So, you know, for me, I'm using visualization on describing each of these families of herbs together. So to me, this one is Qianhu. Let's say he's probably a root, you know, And he would be like the male figure who's really cooling, and I kind of use the male and female kind of parental in the family first, and then everybody, all the underneath is kind of like their children and family members. So Chinhu is a gentle herb, so he deals with really just maybe around family when everyone's angry and coughing. Chinhu comes in and it's really good at cooling that cough. And then the partner of Chinhu is Qigeng, platycodon root or balloon flower root. Balloon flower might be more interesting. It's a root, and the flavor is bitter, pungent, and neutral. So most of the herbs in this family are actually really cold. So Qigeng is great because she's more of a neutral plant. And then she only enters, very simple, so she only enters the lung channel. And here's a picture of what she looks like. And Qigeng indication is also for cough, and that's also due to wind heat. And she can also be used with Sangyi. And then when it is due to wind cold, and the reason why you can use it for also a cough for the wind cold is because she's neutral. So she doesn't really cause during a cold nature of the disease, she isn't making it colder, right? She is neutral. She's not affecting the nature of hot or cold. And when you have a sore throat or if you've lost your voice, she would be good in, helping that. And then lung abscess. So I guess a lot of times when the lung is so hot, it starts to get these abscess and its nodules. And so her function is really good at dispersing the lung and expelling this phlegm, as well as benefiting the throat. I can imagine, she probably got a neck brace to help with throat, and she promotes the pus discharge and subdue the carbuncle. So as the pus and let's say that all the nodes are like probably emotional trauma, and so she's like, oh, calm down, she's very neutral. So she like promotes the pus discharge, release your emotion and let's kind of get that out of the lungs. The direct effect of other herbs upward to upper region of body. So she directs the effects of other herbs upward. So she's probably really good at like helping herbs bring their energy up. Some of the cautions for that is some of the cases in hemoptysis. And the large dosage may cause nausea, so please be careful. It seems like in modern research, again, I guess it seems like they do well for dogs and cats. They've tested on dogs and cats for respiratory effects of that cough again, which is great. For the endocrine effect, it lowers plasma glucose levels in rabbits, endocrine effects. So I can see it, as we talked about earlier, endocrine promotes plus discharge. So it probably helps with the endocrine, probably it's got some nodules in there. And antifungal effects. Interesting. Inhibitory effect in vitro against many common dermatomycosis. Interesting. It's got an antifungal effect, seems like, probably in the dermatomycosis, so the skin layer. And remember, she's really good with the lungs, so she's probably helping disperse this energy because she's entering the lung channel. And then we've got, we'll call them the twins, uncle and aunt twins, because I feel like they're still in the upper the upper guardian level. Chuan Pei Mu and Ji Pei Mu. Tendrilled fritillary bulb. Thunberg fritillary bulb. It's either the rhizome or tuber, and the flavor is bitter, sweet, slightly cold, and very cold for Ji Pei Mu. The channel entered is the lung, and this time is also the heart. So this is these two, I guess you can imagine why they're connected is because they had probably connected to the heart, so the channel is the heart. I'm just adding that to help me remember. Versus Qianhu is, like we said, the lung and spleen is like the mode, the regular mode. while Qigong is more of the lung. Okay, and now we go to the twins, Chuan Pei Mu and Zhi Pei Mu. And they are indicated for coughs due to heat phlegm. So again, that really hot cough, and also when heat for stagnation of phlegm fire. So I guess during a stagnation, they're much useful. And for chronic cough due to lung deficiency. So the lungs probably have been coughing for a long time now. So they're probably really good at helping with that. And scrofula, sores, and abscesses. So again, seems like when you have this heat phlegm, it seems like the heat phlegm creates nodules in our channels in our body. So this one is scrofula, sores, and abscess. Again, just like the Qigong. And so both of them, their function is to resolve phlegm and stop the cough, and as well as clear heat and dissipate nodules. So we're saying still this family tends to all help with cough, and they're pretty good with dissipating nodules. Qinho is much better at just cough, versus the other three so far we've met are good with the nodules. Chuan Bei Mu is actually better for moistening the lungs, while Qi Bei Mu has strong activity of clearing heat and dissipating nodules. So we can imagine that Qi Bei Mu is probably much better at cooling and dissipating the nodules, moving the nodules out and moving that along. But Chuan Bei Mu probably is more like the mister. I imagine she's probably the mister in moistening the lungs with the mist, okay? Oh, and it is incompatible with Wuto, Radix aconite, Radix aconite. And I guess some differences between these twins is that Chuan Pei Mu is a smaller and it's probably more expensive and slightly cold, so it's not as cold, and it's stronger at moistening the lungs that we said before. And the Qi Bei Mu, excuse me, is bigger roots, and they're, I guess, not as expensive, and they have a cold property, and they're stronger at clearing heat and dissipating nodules. So that's probably that whole, it's colder versus slightly cold. This has more of a moistening effect. Let's move on now to Kualu. So Kualu is trichosanth. Okay, and it is the fruit, the whole fruit, the fruit skin or the fruit seed, but in this it's the whole fruit is used, and this fruit is sweet and cold, and this fruit is also entering the lung, the large intestine, which is the pair lungs and large intestine on the metal, element, and then the stomach. So Kualu. So Kualu is good for when you have a cough due to heat phlegm as well. And then now you have chest fullness or pain. So including this heat, now you get this chest fullness and it's hot and your chest is getting stuck. And then it's also early stages of breast abscess and lung abscess. And this could be causing some constipation due to intestinal dryness. Okay, so you can see kind of the intestine drying. So a lot of this heat phlegm and the heat in general is causing a lot of these problems. So Kualu is great with clearing heat and resolving phlegm. Great at also moistening the lung, but it seemed that better at promoting the flow of qi to smooth chest oppression. Okay, so we can probably imagine Kualu being really good at kind of like the crossing guard, or in charge of like, come on everybody, let's move this way now. There's stuck issues here, so we're gonna move things along. Come on, move it along. So with that chest stance, they're probably like this, the chest is stuck here, and so Kualu comes in and is able to kind of promote this flow of qi to smooth the chest oppression and to clear the heat and resolve the phlegm, so that this heat isn't like making us kind of like bring our chest in. And I'm thinking chest fullness, I don't think it's just also going in, but it's, you know, you just feel like someone is like sitting on your chest. And it also does dissipate nodules and relieve constipation, but it seems like it's very good, clear heat and resolve phlegm, as well as promote the flow chi. Kualu. And you have to have just caution when you have young deficiency of the spleen and stomach, and it could be because moving the chi flow probably requires yang energy, and so if you're deficient in yang energy in the spleen and stomach, there could be some problems. And this herb is also incompatible with wuto. I don't know the how to say it in this slide, so I'll have to figure it out. So if you were to take the gualu ren, and I think gualu ren is fruit seed. So gualu ren fruit seed is mainly to moisten the lungs to transform phlegm and moisten the intestine to unblock the obstruction of bowel movement. Gualu pi is the bark, or the outside of the skin, this the outer layer of the fruit, and it primarily clears lung heat and transforms phlegm and facilitates the flow of qi and expand the chest. And then Kualu Gen is not sure. I'll skip that for now. Okay. My next one, I'm excited for these guys because this is part of my project I'm turning in for Herbology, just to study, to find an article about these herbs being used in society research about it. And I'm going to do my research on chuju, which is bamboo shavings. The reason why is we actually have bamboos out here in our house. So I'd like to get comfortable and used to what herbs that we actually are growing here, and learning how to use it for whatever. So bamboo shaving seems like you just shave outside the bamboo, and it's the outside green skin that gets removed. Flavors is sweet and slightly cold. The channels entered is the lung, the gallbladder, and the stomach. Okay. So the gallbladder is a new one. So we gotta imagine gallbladder, bile with chuju. That's the first time we're bringing kind of like this a wood element in here. Oh, I can imagine. So wood. So gallbladder, stomach, but I can imagine also this gallbladder is a wood element. And if you guys know bamboo shoots like crazy up, and the shavings are green. So I'll use that to help me remember gallbladder and stomach. So yeah, it seems like bamboo shaving. If you look pictures here, we'll do shavings up here. And then chuju. So their indication is also for cough due to lung heat. And then dysphoria and insomnia due to fire disturbing the heart. Okay, so probably when you're going to sleep, you're probably coughing a lot, you know, phlegm fire, and that's why you probably have insomnia. So chuju will be good for that. And then vomiting due to stomach heat, so you probably got an accumulation, stomach heat, phlegm accumulation, probably eating something that is causing your stomach to get really hot, but it's not digesting, maybe, you know, so you end up vomiting due to that stomach being too hot. Probably eat too much spicy food could be stomach heat, right? You can have a lot of that stomach heat burning, and you know that burn going down. So eating this chuju, you can see myself eating some flaming hot Cheetos, and going to the bamboo shaving, going, oh crap, too hot. I gotta make sure not to throw up. So these chuju are often fried in ginger juice to mitigate its cold properties, because it's probably too cold and making the stomach too cold. So contraindications, so you shouldn't use it if the stomach and spleen yang deficiency or cold food stagnation. So the cold food stagnation would be eating ice cream, right? They say, we hear all the time in class now, Chinese medicine, they say eating ice cream during the cold winter is like death to the stomach and spleen, because the stomach and spleen is meant to be really hot to burn up the food, and we put all this cold ice cream, and it takes so much energy to melt down the ice cream to get to the point where the gastric juices and enzymes and everything is burning up and converting that ice cream into something usable for our body to use. So that's chuju. So don't use chuju if you have ice cream. It's only when it's hot. So flaming hot Cheetos. Okay, and then okay, so let's say Chuju and Chuli are kind of like brothers and sisters. We can call them the twins, right? Another set of twins. Family's got a lot of twins. So let's play along with that. So Kualu and Kualu is kind of like the oldest child, right? Not sure if fruit, sweet. Okay, maybe we'll say it's the oldest sister. Right? They're so versatile. She can have so many lung, large intestine, stomach. She can use different parts of herself to help. And then these two brothers and sisters, very close in age. You have Chuju, which is bamboo shavings. That's more the male, tough exterior, outside, And then you've got the softer inside, the Chu Li, right? Like sounds like Chung Li. So Chu Li is the bamboo sap. And the bamboo sap is a very sweet and very cold, because I guess the sap is inside there, so it's a very cold sap. And then she enters also the lung. So all of them so far have entered the lung, but she enters the stomach as well as the heart. So let's say because she's more of the internal, the internal sap, so that's why she's also connecting to the heart, like the inner wisdom, But they're both are helpful for the stomach. So Chuju likes the gallbladder, let's say that green gallbladder, but Chu Li likes the heart. She's connected to the heart, right? But they're both in the stomach. And lung is the whole family. I love the lungs in this family. So Chu Li is great for when someone's got cough due to heat-phlegm again, but for her, it's stroke, coma, epilepsy, or hemiplegia due to heat-phlegm. Whew. Okay, so let's see. So I imagine that she's great at maybe someone, it's so hot, they have a stroke, and then they epilepsy, and they're it's just so bad now. You really need to go and get that internal essence of the bamboo to really cool their energy and revive them almost, right? So the function is to clear heat, resolve phlegm to stop cough, which is better, and Chu Li is better than Chuju in stopping cough. And she opened the orifices. So it seems like during this heat, maybe the stroke and coma, epilepsy is also due to maybe misfiring and blood not going to the brain correctly, and it's misfiring and causing this issue in the brain that is just the brain is misfiring its network. So opening orifices could probably help open up the blood vessels and orifices to allow the chi to flow more smoothly around the body. So you turn this sap into a juice, and you take directly, and you can mix it with ginger juice to reduce its cold properties as well. And this is contraindicated for cough due to cold and loose stools due to spleen deficiency. And that's because she's already helping open orifices, and so it may not be good for loose stools and due to spleen deficiency, because the spleen is not able to convert the phlegm. Okay. And the next one is Bang Da Hai. So we've got the older sister Gualo, and then we've got the two kind of twins, Ju, and Ju Li. Ju Li, which is the sap, is internal, right? And so that's why she connects to more of the heart, the lung, stomach, and heart. Versus Ju connects to the lung as well as the gallbladder, because the green shavings that you take off, right? It's just the gallbladder and the stomach. All right, Pang Ta Hai is boat sterculiac seed. Never heard of it. And the flavor, oh, it's a seed, right? Dried seed. The flavor and properties are slightly sweet and cool. And the channel entered is the lung, large intestine, and stomach. So lung, large intestine, and stomach. So this one seems to be still stomach, but she now focuses more later on the large intestine. So slightly sweet. And here's a picture of them. Okay, so she, for her, I'm imagining Pang Ta Hai, maybe Panda, like a panda, Pang Ta, I don't know. Indication for sore throat, hoarseness, use as tea for benefiting the throat and improving the voice. Or you can use alone. Or with Qigong or Niu Bang Qi. Another indication is for cough due to heat-phlegm. Again, like everybody else in this family, whoever's got a cough due to heat-phlegm, gotta take their herbs. And this one's constipation due to heat. So when you can use that as alone if it's constipation due to heat. So the function overall of Pang Ta Hai is to eliminate the heat toxins and benefit the throat. So maybe the throat here, the sore throat, hoarseness. So you're limiting the heat toxins here that's probably built up, and that's why the throat is hoarse, to benefit the throat. And it also clears and moistens the lungs so that you don't have this heat toxin going up again. And it also clears the intestine and then blocks the bowels. So like we said, it's large intestine. So the lung and large intestine are connected. So it's probably the seed is able to go into large intestine and to clear the constipation due to heat. So it clears the intestine and it blocks the bowels. So Pang Ta Hai is really good, I imagine. She's a big, large intestine. And she's good at helping you poop. Cool poop when you have hot poop. Hot poop will be constipation. When it's so hot, it's like turning into a solid constipation mess. And there's no special caution or contraindication, and you can also be used as an infusion or applied topically. Interesting. Okay, next one. Ooh, these are fun. So these two, so now that we've met Pang Ta Hai, it's the younger, probably let's say younger brother, Pang Ta Hai, is good with the large intestine poop, right? So now we go into the final babies, the two little twins that love the ocean. These two love the ocean so much, that's why they're so cold. Okay? And so we have Hai Cao, which is seaweed, sargassum seaweed. Love seaweed. I love Japanese culture and the sushi and seaweed everywhere, and dried seaweed when you with rice and sushi rice. Okay, let's not go over that. But so it's just the whole herb in the ocean, and the flavor is bitter, salty, and cold. And the channel entered is the lung, the stomach, and the spleen, the kidney, and the liver. It's quite a lot. I'm gonna have to remember all 5 of these. So Hai Cao enters the lung because of the phlegm, the kidney, and the kidneys for that water, right? Because it's in the ocean. The spleen and stomach because it's good at helping probably stomach somewhere, and then the liver because it's green. I don't know why the liver is there as well. Or we'll probably learn what it does. So the indication is for various kind of nodules in the neck or fullness. And so edema and beriberi, never heard of that. Should probably look it up and learn it. With herbs that promote urination, excrete dampness. So Haitzao is great, the seaweed is great at reducing phlegm and softening the hardness and promoting urination and reduce swelling. Okay, so I can imagine this is really good because the salt content, salt is general herb that is salty in nature, is really good at softening hard masses in our body. So hard masses is phlegm. So fluid retention that gets concreted, right, or loses its water, has less water, becomes more of a node or mass. And those are and that's why they're stagnated. This phlegm stagnation, this phlegm becomes these hard masses. So that's how I imagine edema. So because of the edema is good with the water, kidney. So I imagine because it's from the ocean that it's good with edema. I mean, I assume, but it's good for edema. So I'm trying to connect it visually. And that's why Hatsao is really good. And this one is caution in cases with cold from deficiency of the spleen and stomach. And it's incompatible with sun gansao. Gansao. Okay, and the final little girl, boy, girl. Two twins. They're like three sets of twins in this family. There's a lot of twins in this family because they're so similar. The similar one for seaweed is kung pu and a kelp thallus, a different type of kelp. And their flavors, and it's the use of thallus. I don't know what the thallus is. I'll probably put a picture here when I get it. Flavor and properties is salty and cold, and the channel entered is the kidney, spleen, liver, and stomach. So kung pu is the only one that actually does not enter the lungs. What a little rebel. So kung pu, I could say kung pu, like kung fu hustle, like kung fu. Kelp kung pu. I call her kelp kung pu. And she's rebellious. She's salty and she's cold and she's rebellious, and so she's gonna do only kidney. She's in kidney and she's green, so she's in the liver and spleen, because she has your stomach, liver, and spleen. So earth, wood in the water, earth, wood in the water. So spleen, stomach, liver, and kidney. Okay. And they have more of the long strands, right? With seaweed, you can use it more of the wrapper or use for sushi. These are the long strands that you get to like make seaweed, not wraps, but different. And it's more like a long, I'll show a picture. So the various kinds of nodules in the neck or fullness due to phlegm, such as goiter and scrofula. So again, that's scrofula, and you can also use it in conjunction with Hatsao, his twin sister. And this one's also for edema, beriberi with the herbs to promote urination, excrete dampness. So they seem to be both very good. So it's probably based on which one you can probably get, whether you can get kung pu or haisao. Okay? And the caution here is for cold or cold damp syndrome due to young deficiency of spleen and stomach. So again, you're getting the cold damp syndromes, and since it's a cold herb, you're adding cold to cold nature disease. So probably not good. Okay, so to sum up, I'm gonna read out all the herbs now, and I want all of you and myself included to pause at each of them and give yourself time to think about each of these herbs and what we just went over, so that we can practice memorizing these, okay? First one, jianhu. What are some flavors? What are the channel entered? Indications and functions. Then the mother qigong. What are her flavors and the channels she enters? It's one channel. And then you've got 中北木 and 日北木. Oh, 中北木 and 日北木, sorry. And what are their flavors as well as their channels entered? And then we have the oldest daughter, Kwalu. And what is her flavor and the channels she enters? And indication and functions. And then we have another set of very similar brothers and sisters that are really close in age. You have Juju. And what is his flavors and channels entered? And the indication function, as well now as Julie. What are her indications? And her flavors, as well as channels entered. And then we have the little boy, Bang Ta Hai, with his flavor, as well as his channels entered. And then functions and indication. And then we have the final little two rascals, Hai Zhao. And what is Hai Zhao's channel, as well as their flavors? And indication and functions. And then finally, the younger rebellious sister, Kumpo. And why is she rebellious and choosing not to follow into their footsteps, but still good at what she does in helping with heat-phlegm. So all these 9 plants, herbs, are good cold herbs that cools heat-phlegm, warm coughs. Okay, so that was it for today's herbology class, and please stay tuned for the next class. Thank you. You guys have a good day.